Hi everyone, it's Miss Thompson again. I hope you all are doing well. This is Thursday morning. This is August the what? Should be August the 6th if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I think today is August the 6th, Thursday, and this is English 1. So, what we've been doing, continuing on what we did yesterday. So, we've basically been reading and summarizing the Declaration of Independence, which we know was written by Thomas Jefferson, to try and determine the meaning and purpose of his writing. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of take it a step further. So, our objectives for today are we will analyze the text to reveal how the author develops a central idea of the text, and we will discuss how an author structures an argument to convey a main idea. So much like yesterday, what we are going to do is we're going to listen to part two of or the second section of the Declaration of Independence. Now, when we listen at this, we will notice that it is a whole lot of grievances. And what a grievance is, is basically an injustice or something that has been done wrong against a group of people. So these are all the issues that the Americans had with England, which is why they wanted to sever ties with them. These are all the things they laid them out in the Declaration of Independence. So that is what we are going to listen to today. Now, today is not going to be exactly like yesterday in that we are not going to do all the synonyms and things. Instead, we have another kind of activity that we're going to do, and we will talk about it once we get to that point. But at this point, what I need you guys to do is you guys should pull up your document, the Declaration of Independence. Now, your document should look a little different than mine, being that you guys should have already done yesterday's assignment, which means all of this should be annotated. You should have went in and highlighted those words and found synonyms and put them on this document. You also should have highlighted your textual evidence that you used to create your little objective summary out there to the side. So today, where we're going to start is we're going to start at section 2. It is clearly labeled with a 2, and it starts in this kind of reddish pinkish color right here. So we are going to listen to section 2, and we are going to listen all the way through this time. I am not going to stop it because the activity that we're going to do afterward is going to kind of give me an idea of how well you guys can actually read the text, comprehend what it is saying, and kind of provide me with some feedback to some of the guiding questions that are here. So we are now up to the point where we will listen to the second section of the text. So I hope you guys are following along.
Prove this? Let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislators and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions.
So, in that section right there, we see that Thomas Jefferson is outlining everything that King George did wrong, which led these colonies to want to declare independence. Now, I didn't stop the video this time because I actually have some questions that go along with what you just read. So if you access your classroom, so I want you guys to go into Google Classroom right now. You can leave this tab open. Hopefully you downloaded the extension so you can have two screens up at once like I have here. So you're going to go into your Google Classroom, and you should not see that because this is yesterday's assignment. So you're going to go to your class. I'm just going to click on one. Classwork, obviously it should be under week 1. Or maybe it's over here. Just disregard all of that. Yeah. So it's going to be under week 1. I'm going to put this back over here so it doesn't confuse you guys. So it's going to be under week 1. And you should have a link. Now, do not mind all this no due date stuff. I'm still in the middle of creating this lesson. That's why it looks like that. It doesn't have a due date on it. But anyway, you're going to click on this link to Padlet, which is one of the extensions that you should have downloaded on your Chromebook. If you haven't, please make sure that you do. And now that you are on Padlet, what you're going to do is you have 3 questions, and each of these questions you are going to give me a response to. So the directions say to please answer each of the questions by clicking the plus sign and typing your response in the box to the question. So participation is required as this will serve as an assessment. So this is going to be your assessment for today. If you do not have a Padlet account, be sure to include your name in your response. So I have a Padlet account, but if I didn't have a Padlet account and say my name is Alexis, I would write Alexis Gardner here. And then I would type my response, blah, 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 blah. Just click off of it and your answer is there. And you're going to do the same thing for both of these questions. Again, this is going to serve as your assessment for today. So please make sure that you go in and you actually do this, because this is going to be very important. This is going to be kind of an indicator of me as to what you guys are comprehending and how well you guys are able to listen to a text and decipher meaning. That's basically what today's lesson that's basically what we're doing in today's lesson. So that is the first thing that you need to do. You can either do that last, or you can do it immediately after you listen to the grievances. If I were you, I would do it immediately after I've listened to the recording, because it's going to be fresh on my mind. I can go and refer back to it. I have that text already pulled up for me to use to answer these questions. That is what I would do. Now, the second thing that you are going to do, and I want to stress the importance of this part is optional, meaning you do not have to do it. I am not going to require you to do it. But if you feel that you need that extra assistance, what you should do is, just like we did on yesterday, I'm going to provide you with a list of words. You're going to go and find those synonyms for those words and reread section 2 with those synonyms in place. Now, if you feel pretty good about this, if you're understanding everything, you don't have to go through this step. But if you need that extra assistance, and trust me, I will eventually know if who needs it and who doesn't. So don't lie and try to get out of it thinking that you're doing less work, because I mean, it really only takes about 10 minutes. Go in and do that. If not, you do not have to do it. I'm not going to require you to do it. But this next part is not optional. And the next part, what we're basically going to do is, just like we found evidence yesterday to support what the main point and the main idea of section 1 was, today what you are going to do is you're going to highlight 2 quotes from section 2, which is what we just listened to. You're going to highlight 2 quotes in section 2 that reveal King George's largest offenses. So what has he done that was so bad? Which 2 offenses do you think are the greatest? And what you're going to do is you're going to highlight them in section 2. Obviously, you're not going to highlight them using this pinkish reddish color highlighter. Use a different color highlighter. And you're going to highlight his largest offenses in the list of grievances. So you have a whole lot of them, and they're kind of separated by paragraphs. So you should think of each paragraph as a grievance. So you're going to have to go back and reread all of these, and you're going to have to determine which one you think are the greatest 2. And out to the side here, you are actually going to summarize what this section is about. Same thing we did yesterday. You're going to look at the section and tell me what the section is about. What is the main point of the section? You should do this in 1 to 2 sentences. And lastly, your last task for this assignment, you are going to look at all of these grievances again, much like you just did a few seconds ago. You're going to look at all of them and how the king violated the rights of the colonists, and which one do you think relates to the central idea of the text the most? Which one do you think relates to the central idea of the text the most? Now, in order to do this, you're going to have to know what the central idea of the text is. So, first, in order to answer the question, you need to know what the central idea of the text is. So you're going to have to read that and determine what the central idea of the text is, and which one of the grievances, which one of these is most closely aligned to the central idea of the text. Those are your 3 tasks for today. So, again, what you are going to do, your first step is you are going to go into Padlet and do your assessment. Your 3 assessment questions. Remember, if you don't have a Padlet account, to include your name in your response, in all 3 responses. That's your first thing. The second thing that you're going to do is you are going to go in and you're going to highlight textual evidence of what you think are the greatest 2 grievances. What do you think are the worst things listed here? What 2 things? Lastly, you are going to tell me which grievance is the most closely related to the central idea of the text. And now that last part, again, you're going to find a question, just as we did on the first day. There will be a question posed in the classroom, and that is where you will type the response to that question. Does that make sense? I'm hoping you all are nodding your heads, even though I can't see you and you can't see me. That is my hope. So that is what you're going to do for today. Again, as always, this is going to be due on Friday at 11:59 p.m. But again, as you can see, the work is not stopping. Every single day, you are going to have an assignment to do. So do not let this work pile up on you. And also, if you're not doing anything and if you're just missing assignments, then obviously I'm going to have to contact you. And you don't want me to have to contact you. I mean, it's just the second day of school. So just do your assignments. This video right here has not lasted longer than I know 15 minutes, which means you have at least 70 minutes to complete this assignment for today. That is more than enough time. As always, if you need any assistance, please leave me a private comment and I'll be sure to get back to you, as I will be on my computer checking frequently to make sure you guys are on task, to make sure you guys are actually understanding. And I'm going to be looking at your responses. I'll probably be responding back to some of your responses in Padlet. So just make sure that you actually get those in so that you can get credit for your assessment. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.